Hey everyone, my name is Josh Oswald, and welcome to Season 2 of Mole Movies, where every week I watch a movie that's somewhat underappreciated, underground, or straight up forgotten about, and then I give you my thoughts on them and what I like so much about them. Don't worry, I won't be pulling any 1923 Serbian silent films told from the perspective of a sad shoelace, but we might get there eventually. So with all that out of the way, let's get talking about today's film, Minari, directed by Lee Isaac Chung and released in the US on February 12th, 2021. We start the film on David Yi, the son of a South Korean family moving from California to Arkansas in the 1980s. After having a hard time keeping work in California, Jacob Yi, the father of the family, made the decision to pursue the somewhat cliché American dream and bought some land he considered to be farmable, hoping it would give the family the finances it needed to succeed in the West. However, as a viewer, you start to get the sense that maybe this move to Arkansas wasn't necessarily a family decision. The mother of the family, Monica, is continuously thinking about the consequences of their actions and how each one will not only impact their family, but more specifically their children. David Yi is one of the major focal points of the film because he's supposed to be somewhat of a stand-in for the perspective of the director himself, Lee Isaac Chung. David has a distinct connection with the grandmother in this film as well, and this relationship functions as a key emotional element in the story, especially with all the conflict going on within the family. Throughout the film, the plans Jacob had for the family slowly don't pan out, and we see this failure almost tear the family completely apart. However, one of the things Grandma does when she arrives is plant a native Korean plant, Minari, by a creek bed on a further part of the property, and I think the contrast between the crops David plants and the Minari Grandma plants is an intentional metaphor for not only the family, but also the director's heritage and culture. I think one of the few things you benefit from on rewatch of this film is the first time you watch it, you kind of think Jacob is the main character. After all, he's got the most screen time, his decisions impact the plot the most, and he goes through a lot of change in this film. But on rewatch, I think you see that David is really the main character, and I think the director tells you this immediately by opening the film on David's face and then showing his POV. This puts you in the shoes of the director, and you can tell there's a personal connection to this film immediately. I think one of the most compelling parts of this story, though, is the metaphor for the crops Jacob plants and the Minari Grandma plants, as I mentioned earlier. Jacob's farm repeatedly encounters struggle and fails to produce what he wants it to. However, the Minari planted by the creek flourishes. Minari is known as a resilient Korean plant that can grow pretty much anywhere, and I think this is directly commenting on the resilience of Korean immigrants, and despite the hardship they faced, their roots are strong, and their resilience is what really drives them to flourish. And I don't think it's any coincidence that this is planted by the grandma, who both David and the audience grow closer to as the film progresses. However, I'm gonna have to leave it there. This film is sentimental and endearing, so watch this where you can and form your own opinion. I would give Minari a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend this to anyone who enjoyed films like The Fabelmans, The Farewell, and May December. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.